Good afternoon, children. Today we are going to learn about a new story, that is The Piper of Manas. Now, this story, first of all, it's written by Pikanani. Okay, and Pikanani, this particular name Pikanani, is the pen name of Deepika Murthy. Actually, the writer's name is Deepika Murthy, and the name Pikanani, that is her pen name. That is the name which she uses for writing her stories or for her writings. Okay, so mainly her name is Deepika Murthy, and this is her pen name. Now, she is a writer who writes stories that is relating to children. Okay, and this particular story, which is The Piper of Manas, it is a part, or it is a story which is taken from this Little Indians, which is a collection of stories. There was a collection of stories among which this Piper of Manas is a part. Now, if we come to the story, now what happens when the story starts? We see that there appears to be a scene where there is heavy rainfall. Okay, and due to heavy rainfall, it has become flooded. And due to rainfall, there is thundering, there is lightning, and what happens is a bolt of lightning, due to that lightning when it strikes, okay, it happens that when you look at the sky, no, it appears that the sky is divided into two halves. So it appears, so with that lightning, what happened, the desolate scene, or uh, the beginning of the story is shown here, showing a desolate flooded scene. As I have told you that there was having a rainfall, heavy rainfall, and due to that it had already become flooded. Now, in that period, in that time, there was this person whose name is Dr. Shubhendu Fukan, and he saw something due to the help of lightning, because when it appears lightning, it throws a light on the earth just to show. Okay, that means we can see just for a second. So what he saw, Dr. Shubhendu Fukan, he saw that there was on the branch of a tree, he saw something. Okay, and that was barely above water level. The tree was just barely above water level. It was somehow just close. The water, the flood water, it was somehow close uh, to the tree or the branch of the tree. Okay, it was, that means the level of the water, it had risen so up that it was just going to reach the branch, but it was little, there was little difference, there was little space still left. And whatever he saw, he could not believe his eyes, what he saw. And then he said to his companion, the person who was there with him, he said, take the boat near the tree, he shouted. And the person, he took the boat near the tree, and you can see here in the picture what was seen, that wedged dangerously between the tree trunk and a branch was a baby rhinoceros. And as you can see, the level of the water and the tree, okay, you can see here how is the level of the water, and it is just about to reach the branch. So the flood has risen that high. And when he saw, he found that between the tree trunk and the branch of that tree, there was this baby rhino, it was stuck. Okay, and now what happened when he saw that, just after that, when he just saw this scene, just after that there was a thundering. Okay, there was a thundering, and due to that thundering, it shook the earth. And due to the thundering, what happened, the earth was shaking, and in in reaction to that, the water, that means the river water where their boat was situated, okay, it also started moving, shaking very tremendously. And it was so horrible, it had shaken so much that their boat was just about to fall down. It just almost overturned, the boat almost overturned, but somehow the companion, the person who had taken the responsibility of the boat, he had just made it sure that it does not fall down. Okay, and he managed, and then what happened, Dr. Fukan reached out to the scared animal, and using all his power he rescued uh, the calf, the baby rhino. And guess what happened after that? Just after that, just a minute had passed, and the tree upon which in between the trunk and the branch where the baby rhino was stuck, that tree, it fell down with a splash. Okay, and if they had been even a minute late, then the baby rhino would also have been washed away. They would not be able to save uh, the baby rhino, but that did not happen. They were quite lucky, and then the doctor, he rescued it properly, and since it was a baby, okay, so he wrapped the calf in his raincoat, and then they moved to a safe place. Now, a short fact or reality is shown here, that every year, in every monsoon, okay, the Brahmaputra river, it swells. That means the water level, it rises, and flood happens. And due to that flood, what happens? The Kaziranga National Park, it also becomes flood. And that year in which this accident had happened, this year it was more severe. The condition was worse because of the relentless heavy rains, because of the rains which was not stopping. It was endless, it was continuously, there was having rainfall. And this might be the reason that since the water level had risen in the Kaziranga National Park, that's why maybe the whole Kaziranga was underwater, and due to that many of the animals had been washed away. And among those animals might have been the mother of the baby rhino calf. Okay, this was the assumption, or this was the idea which Dr. Shubhendu Fukan had tried to make. And also we can also assume in this way that maybe when the baby rhino's mother had been washed away, maybe the baby rhino was also there with its mother, but somehow the mother got washed away, and maybe the baby got stuck in the tree. Okay, so this is how maybe we can just assume it. Now, coming back to the story, who is Dr. Fukan? Now, he was a person who was a doctor, no doubt, but he is better called a veterinarian. Okay, he is a veterinarian, and he had come from Assam's other well-known national park, that is Manas. You all know about Manas, and he actually was involved in the rescue operations due to this flood and all. So various places will be flooded, and since he was an animal, so maybe he had got some information about such places, so he had set out to rescue the animals, and he had done it. Now, while he attended, while he saw the condition of the rhino, baby rhino, he saw that the injuries were not serious, which is a very good thing, but the calf needed close monitoring for the next 48 hours. Since it was a baby, it was very scared, and that's why it needed a close attention to look after. Okay, it's not that it will be given some time right now, and maybe the doctor will come maybe after 5 to 6 hours, and then again it will get checked. No, it has to somebody has to remain there for the baby rhino to keep a close check on it. So, what he did, coming to a decision, Dr. Fukan, he took the necessary permissions, whatever was needed, and he took the rhino with him to Manas, because he had to return to his own home. He cannot stay in that place for a long time, right? So, he returned back to Manas. Now, while he returned back to Manas, while he went back to his home, he had two children whose name were Arnab and Radhika, and they came out running when they saw their father and squealed delightfully. Squealed delightfully means here they were very happy to see the rhino calf. So the kind of sound which we make when we are very happy. Okay, so they squealed delightedly to see the calf. And now let us know about Arnab and Radhika. Let us know something about them. Now Arnab was 10 years old and Radhika was 5 years old. So between the brother and the sister there was 5 years gap, 5 years difference, and they had grown up surrounded by animals and were very comfortable with them. Now because Dr. Fukan, he was a veterinarian. Now, a veterinarian is a person who treats animals, those are sick, injured, or need medicines for their health. Okay, so he was a veterinarian. He treated animals. Okay, so he was a doctor for the animals. So since he was a doctor for the animals, so it's very normal to have animals at his home, and that's why Arnab and Radhika, they were very normal, or they were very comfortable with the with whatever animals used to come at their home. Nobody used to get scared, because it was a very normal kind of thing for them, since they had been growing up in that way. Okay, by seeing this thing. The baby rhino looked at them with his little button eyes. He's so sweet. Look at his pointed ears, said Radhika, and this little bump on his nose. And they looked at the baby rhino. It appeared to be very sweet, very cute. And Arnab, he pointed out at the little bump which was appearing on his nose. And guess what? What is that little bump about? Dr. Fukan, he clarifies that that's where the horn will grow. He is, after all, a great Indian one-horned rhinoceros. So later, what is going to happen? There is a little bump on his nose. There is a little we should say that there is a little bump on his nose, and this little bump, it is going to grow up. Okay, it is going to grow later on, and then the species, actually it is of one horned rhinoceros. When the baby will grow up later on, it will become a one horned rhinoceros, which is the pride of our Assam. And then Dr. Fukan, he took the calf to the stabilization center, where he was to be monitored, where he was to be kept under close attention. But he returned home in the evening looking very worried. Now, why did he return home? Okay, so what was the matter that made Dr. Fukan worried? So when he returned back, Arnab looked at him and he understood by the facial expression of his father that something was wrong. And he asked that, what is it, Devta? Now he said, what is the matter, Devta? And Devta is the word which is referred to father, and that is the language in Assamia. Okay, in Assamese, the main official language of Assam. As you can see, the term which is used for one's father in Assamia. Okay, so he told his father, he asked his father that, what is the matter, father? Is it something about the rhino that you look worried? So he denied, no, it's not, it's nothing. He just needs some time to adjust, and that's all. He'll get well very soon. But Dr. Fukan was actually very worried about the rhino. The baby was still under shock. He was just a few weeks old and probably missed his mother. Now, after his birth, only a few weeks had passed, and this accident had happened, and he got separated from its mother. Okay, and that's why probably this might be the reason that he was scared and also missed his mother. And now he had to be fed every 3 hours, but giving him a bottle of milk had been a struggle. He had not stirred from his place the whole day, though they had tried their best to get him up and about. Now, what was the thing which was making Dr. Fukan worried is that since the rhino was a baby, okay, it was only a few weeks old, not even a month, not even a year. So feeding a baby is very important. That's how its growth starts, right? So without food, nobody can survive. And you just think about a small baby which is just a few weeks old. Whichever species it is, if it is even a human, if it's an animal, does not matter. Babies, they need extra care, right? So uh, this was becoming a problem because he was not letting anybody come towards him. He had not stirred, he had not come from his place. Okay, and that's why giving him food or feeding it was really becoming a problem. Now if the baby is not fed, you just imagine what is going to happen to the baby. It's not going to survive, and that's why the doctor knew that if this went on, the baby would not survive for too long. So this was the reason that Dr. Fukan, why he was so worried. The next day after school, Arnab and Radhika, they went to see the rhino calf, and when they went there, they saw that he was lying down in a corner of the open enclosure. They were told that their father was out on their work but was expected back very soon, and their father had gone somewhere, and it was informed to them after they had gone to the stabilization center. Now let me tell you that their father had already forbidden them that they should not go in front of the wild animals on their own. That means alone they won't go near the wild animals. Only when someone is present or along with their father, only they will move towards the wild animals. So they waited for some time, or they waited for their father to return back. They were just passing their time. Now what happened at that time, Arnab, he was learning to play the flute and always carried it with him. So since just to pass the time they had to do something, that's why what happened, Arnab, he just started to play a new tune that he had learned that day. The lively folk tune got Radhika dancing and twirling around her brother, and listening to the tune, Radhika started dancing around her brother. Arnab had totally closed his eyes and he was focusing on the tune which he was playing, and Radhika was dancing. Suddenly, Arnab, he felt that someone was shaking him, and when he opened his eyes, he saw that Radhika was shaking him. Why? Because the baby rhino, when he opened his eyes, both of them saw that the baby rhino was just standing a few feet away from them. Now why was the baby rhino there? Because the baby rhino, when they had seen, they were it was in the it was just lying down in the corner of the open enclosure. Then why? Equally surprised, the rhino moved back a few paces, ready to go back to its corner, because by seeing the facial, the surprised expression of both Arnab and Radhika, it also got scared. Okay, and it was just about to step back, but somehow Radhika understood something and she whispered. She started saying very slowly to her brother, "Play it again, play it again." Arnab put the flute to his lips and played the same tune, and he replayed the tune which he was playing on the flute. The calf slowly came near them, bobbing his head and squealing as if enjoying the music. The calf, the baby rhino, was actually enjoying the music, and it was just moving its head and it was squealing. That means it was making a happy sound. And Radhika, getting a chance, what she did, she stroked the rhino's back, just patted the rhino's back. Now, Dr. Fukan had returned a few minutes earlier and watched the scene in amazement. It was true that animals responded to music. It is a true thing, it's a fact that animals respond to music, and all these things, whatever had happened, this was evident, or this had been seen by Dr. Fukan, because he had returned a few minutes earlier and he had known this fact that not just cats and dogs but even big animals like horses cantered to music. They also respond. They also moved fairly fast but not very fast. That means they respond to music. Okay, even big animals or wild animals also, they canter to music, and elephants could even play certain instruments. That is another fact. Okay, but he was sure that no one had studied the effect of music on rhinoceros. Maybe other animals had the effect of music had been known on other animals but not on rhinoceros, so it was likely that they responded to it. But it is also a thing that they this rhinoceros, they also respond to music. Now let us know about one of the characteristic of rhinoceros, that is a rhino's hearing is quite sharp and they make a variety of sound themselves. Okay, so this is a fact about, this is one of the characteristic about the rhinos, the rhinoceros. Or could it be that this particular rhino calf was special? Maybe maybe there is another thing, maybe there is a speciality, because it is already, we know that it's a one-horned rhinoceros, so it might be a case. Let's see. Devta, cried Radhika, noticing her father, and they were quite busy with, they were involved actually with the rhino calf, so they had not seen that their father had already appeared there. So when she noticed that the father was there, she called out to her father and said, you know what just happened now? Arnab was playing his flute and I was dancing, and the baby rhino came close to us. Isn't that wonderful? Just like the Pied Piper story. If you know about the Pied Piper story, then it's good, or otherwise you can just check about that. It's more fantastic than the story. After all, rhinos are much bigger than mice, replied the dazed doctor. So he already had known about this, and Radhika, while she told about everything, whatever had happened, so to that he replied that it's more fantastic than the story. Radhika, she compared the story, the actually the incident which had just happened now with the Pied Piper story. Okay, so to that, Dr. Fukan, he said that forget about the Pied Piper story. The incident which just happened now with the rhinoceros, that is much more fantastic. After all, rhinos are much bigger than mice, replied the dazed doctor. That was when the children decided to name the calf Bahi, which meant bamboo flute in Assamia. And that is how they decided that they will now name the rhino calf with this name, that is Bahi. Bahi, we all know that the meaning is bamboo flute, the flute which is made of bamboo. Dr. Fukan, at last he realized that there was now a way to get back Bahi back to normal. Arnab and Radhika were only too excited to help. They were readily excited. They were happy also in the very beginning, and still now continuously they are ready to help anytime. Arnab played the flute for Bahi every day. Radhika helped to feed the calf, and now surprisingly, when they had quite come closer to each other, now the calf, it started to get close to both the children, and that's how Radhika also got the advantage that she could now feed the baby calf. Soon the baby rhino came running to Arnab every time he heard the flute, and like Radhika went round and round as if dancing to the tune. So Radhika, what she used to do, whenever Arnab used to play the flute, she would dance and dance to the tune, and the rhino would also enjoy. And that is how finally the rhino, it came out from the cage, not remaining aloof anymore, and then little by little it started coming back to a normal stage. Okay, so you all have seen that how if you give proper love, care, affection, okay, to anybody, to, whoever needs help, okay, the person can come back to a normal stage. You just see in this case of rhino, even it's an animal, it also applies in case of humans also. Whoever needs help, okay, if we give proper care, if we attend that being, be it a human or be it an animal, if it is taken care for, if it is looked after, then the being can come back to a normal stage. Just what is needed, a proper care and affection is needed towards that being. So I hope that you have liked this story. So that's all for today. Thank you.